as always, thank you for that. But it's going to be Pulse taking on Fnatic. I am joined, of course, by Sing Sing, who has decided to grace his presence for the first time. How are you looking forward to the game?
I'm actually really looking forward to this game because I know both teams very well. They're good friends of mine. I want them both to lose, but that's another story. Going to this game, Magnus banned already. Just, you know, most annoying hero in the game right now. Everyone hates that hero.
Yeah, playing against a Magnus in the mid game, you have ridiculous initiation. You can't really outlane him that well either because so many people put him mid. You just get the bottle going, and you just spam Shockwave for your CS, get your Arcanes, get your Blink, and then you just start roaming around the map looking for team fights. But interestingly enough, Pulse deciding to ban out the Bounty and the TA. That means that Batrider or Darkseer have the potential to make it in. I'd say between the two, probably a bit more likely to see the Batrider banned.
Probably. Darkseer, you know, Trixie's known to feed with Darkseer, so then, like, you know, just take the Darkseer, we don't care.
Yeah, but first pick's going to Pulse, so we're not sure if the Darkseer is actually going to be taken by them or not. It's still going to be open to Fnatic depending on what Pulse wants the first pick, which Wisp is available, but nope, they're going to go with the Darkseer instead, so Fnatic has the Wisp opportunity available to them.
It's Wisp, there's THD, both very high tier heroes right now. It's even Undying in the pool. I actually don't know if Fnatic, okay, never mind, they do play it.
No, they're going to let it go. They're going to take Undying Jakiro instead. Of course, that's the make of probably a tri-lane, I would assume. Most of the time you see those two heroes, they're always going to be stuck together in a lane with possibly somebody who's farming, or if you're a team like Empire, you just farm the Undying being played by Blow Your Brain. But of course, it's going to be Fnatic, so we're not sure if they're going to pick a carry just yet. Now, two more coming out here for Pulse. They have a Darkseer already, so they have either a dedicated offlaner, or if they want to send a mid, it would be random, but I suppose they could do it. They've been known to do stuff like that in the past, though. They take lanes that are a little bit conventional and kind of twist them just a bit to take other teams off guard, and I'm wondering if they're going to try to do that in this game.
They might. Plus Fnatic, I've seen them do Undying offlane once or twice. And he just goes alone against whatever.
Oh, Queen of Pain now picked up here for Pulse as well, so I'm assuming that's going to be a mid Queen of Pain, and since Templar Assassin is already banned out, there's no mid picked just yet for Fnatic, and because they have an Undying Jakiro, typically that, like we said, that means tri-lane, like 99% of the time, so I don't think we're going to be seeing any split lanes and doing a 2-2-1 just to try to get kind of an advantage there in the laning phase. We'll have to see, though, in the first three what Fnatic wants to do. One more coming out until the second ban phase, and I'm a little surprised that neither team has opted to go for Wisp in this situation.
Yeah, I guess they just both don't have that much practice with the hero. I mean, it's like banned all the time, and it is a hero that needs practice with the entire team, not just one player in pubs or whatever.
Well, I know at least Pulse, at the very least, Mini has been known to play Wisp in the past. So they're going to go ahead and take CK as their third, which makes their tri-lane actually quite strong. The one thing about CK, though, especially in a tri-lane, is you're going to be a little bit level starved in the early part of the game. There's no question about that. In your Chaos Bolt, you have to roll a good one in terms of damage to really make your presence be felt in the early game, in which Jakiro, not necessarily the greatest damage himself. Undying is really their only damage follow-up so far.
And it's not even much damage Undying. It just drains HP, but it doesn't do this big burst that you need to finish a person off.
All right, going to the second ban phase. Already have Disruptor and Keeper of the Light banned out from Pulse. Also going to see Sven take his leave relatively late, of course. That's just due to the fact that they picked the CK. Fnatic knows that when you pick up a Sven, it's very, very good against Chaos Knight. The plus armor is very hard to overcome. Even with Phantasm getting to level 2 and 3, it's just really difficult to get the hero dead, even with the high physical damage that CK does. So with the first 6 picks already done, what are you thinking in terms of lineup so far for both of the teams?
Both teams have very standoid picks so far. It's like anything can be picked from this point on. This is, you know, the most standout you can get.
All right, so as time goes on, we're probably going to be seeing a mid at the very least an offlane come out from Fnatic, but since Bounty Hunter's already banned out, Easlor in the past has been seen as an offlaner. I'm not really sure what hero they're going to send. Windrunner is still available, and it looks like Void is also going to take his leave at this particular time. So Pulse now doesn't have the standard options and things that you would usually think of when you want to just hard counter a CK in the mid to late game. They don't have the Chronosphere to lock him down with the BKB, and they don't have the Sven who can just sit there and hang with him and try to trade autos. So with that being said, what do you do now if you're Pulse for a carry?
They're still anti-mage.
Throw in the anti-mage. Even though mid-game CK is kind of known for being an anti-mage, you think that's still a viable choice?
Anti-mage is always viable.
Ah, okay.
There's a lot of ways to play anti-mage. I'm surprised they actually didn't ban Wisp at this point.
You feel as though Pulse could still take it in the situation because they've only picked one of their tri-lane support. They have an offlaner and they have a mid, so you think they could still fit it into their lineup pretty easily?
No, sorry, I meant Fnatic. They could still go for a Wisp here and still do this offlane Undying.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point as well. And especially if they put it in the off lane, that would pretty much ensure the CK is still going to get his farm. And since you pretty much know that Pulse is sending a Darkseer down there anyway, the Wisp isn't going to be in a situation where it's a try versus try, because that's like the nightmare for a Wisp. You don't ever want to be a tri lane versus tri lane when you have a Wisp, because he's just such a weak laner. So you're definitely right. Fnatic is very, very open to that. But last ban, we saw Lina taken out by Pulse here. That's probably just due to the fact that they were assuming maybe they would change up their lanes a bit, so maybe on the same page that you were, with maybe saying that Undying, and just don't want the extra damage follow-up.
Exactly. They might even do a double lane mid or something with Chaos Knight Lina mid against the Queen of Pain. It would completely shut down the Queen of Pain.
All right, well, again, last ban coming out here in just a couple of seconds. We're getting quite a bit into their bonus time, but it's going to be tiny. So he's going to be taking his way out. And of course, Craggy, very annoying for melee heroes like Chaos Knight. His burst damage is ridiculous, and he does translate very well into a carry.
It's a good ban. They just banned out all the possible, just go in and kill carries. The only one left is Anti-Mage that can from here.
Yeah, they definitely have Anti-Mage open to them. And ever since the morph of Nerfling, this is... or wait, nerf of Morphling. Totally said that a little bit dyslexic, but I think everybody got the point. Fact of the matter is, the hero just hasn't been seen in such a long time, and he used to be the answer to situations like this, but Pulse is going to go ahead and pick up Mirana instead. We saw her played yesterday. I want to say it was by Na'Vi, and I don't think we're going to see a Phase Boot Mask of Madness Mirana, but we might see a more standard build here. And the thing about her is, ever since the change to her ultimate, she can viably get it now, so you have an alternate method of initiating team fights. Her damage for a semi-carry is actually quite good early on, and she does have pretty good lane presence.
It's a really good carry. I don't even know why the hero stopped getting picks. I always found that the hero is really strong. It's just that these recent buffs, all these small buffs that are stacked up and stacked up all the time, makes her just so much better than before. And like you said, the ulti, it's only 75 mana now. That's nothing. You can just cast out, save people, go in or whatever, turn fights. 10 minutes into the game, no one will have dust probably.
Well, Fnatic picks up Chen, so maybe we'll be seeing the offlane Undying like you had originally anticipated, because I don't really think that they're going to commit the Undying to farm when they already have a CK, and Jakiro's obviously going to be playing support. So they only have one hero left to pick, and it's probably going to be their mid, whereas Pulse, they have their offlaner, they have a support, they have a mid, and they have a semi-carry, so we're thinking secondary support here for Pulse right now?
Secondary support for Pulse. They have a lot of options.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can just say like they're going to pick this.
All right, well, we're going to find out in just a couple of seconds here what they are going to go with. So Mirana likely going to be farming in this team for Fnatic. We're going to have the CK, and I'm not really sure how Mirana's going to match up in the mid game to a CK in the first place. They do have decent backup for her. They have telekinesis to stop aggression, but I feel like CK is very good against just bursting those agility heroes down who don't have the greatest strength gain. I mean, ultra late, it's a different story because you can live through that kind of 4-second chaos bolt, but mid game, if you get focused like that, it's going to be really hard for Pulse to do much to stop it.
Indeed. But right now, Pulse has the much better team fights lineup. If they just go in as 5, they will crush.
All right, last pick coming out from Pulse. Sing Sing, obviously saying that Pulse has a better team fight. Have to agree there. Queen of Pain, just AoE damage. You got Starfall, Fade Bolt, Telekinesis, Vacuum, Ion Shell. You can get in and out of team fights. Their mobility is actually quite good as well. We haven't talked about that too much.
Queen of Pain, Pardon, plus Surge as well. Then you have Rubik that can steal some random spell. If he steals Ice Path in this matchup, every team fight is going to go to Pulse's way, as long as they play normally.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And it looks like Pulse is definitely taking their sweet time. They got about 20 seconds left before they're going to get their last hero. And Fnatic is pretty much in the same boat. And for Fnatic, what do you think is the most likely choice here? If the Undying's going to the offlane, and you're just going to do a standard defensive tri-lane with your CK Jakiro, and you're going to send an Undying to the offlane, what are your options here?
Enigma.
Well, for Pulse, yes, but I was talking more in terms of Fnatic.
Well, they need a mid, unless they want to dual lane mid.
Yeah, and I don't think they would dual lane mid in this situation. Like, CK Jakiro was okay, but it doesn't have quite the lane presence that something like Alina CK would have, and we talked about that earlier. That's why Pulse spanned it out in the first place. But now it's pretty much they need a mid.
They don't need a mid. They can also go for a strong short laner and just dominate that lane, hopefully on his own. Maybe with a little bit support from Chen. They could still do dual mid with Jakiro CK. It's not as strong. You can't burst the Queen compared to Alina. It's still good though.
All right, and for Pulse, obviously we're going to have the Enigma sitting in the jungle, likely going to see a Mirana and a Rubik sitting in the safe lane with that. And we're also have a potential to see some pulling going on, of course. That's pretty much been the Radiant. Everybody's going to do that every single game, no matter what. Whenever you get the opportunity, you can just knock the trees down. You can get a little one Tombstone to eat them if you don't want to use Tangos or Cooling Blade or anything like that. And just make sure that whoever you're up against middle lane just doesn't get any experience, doesn't get the start that they want, and it really hurts them. I don't know if you watched the game earlier, but Scandal's TA was like level 3 when the Night Stalker was almost level 6. And it's just a gigantic impact on the mid game.
It is. It's so annoying and hard to deal with. Anti-mage. Wow.
Looks like we are going to see an anti-mage. And you know what? I like that pick quite a bit because it basically says you have to hold down the CK and the anti-mage at the same time. And I'm looking at Pulse's team set right now, and I'm thinking, can they actually do that? Can they commit enough to stop both of these heroes from farming? Because the late game comes, I don't think a Mirana semi-carry is going to be able to stop an anti-mage and a CK.
That's why you end the game before late game starts. And that's their goal right now on Pulse. They need to end this game before like that 40-ish minute mark where Anti-Mage gets Battle Fury with Multi and Butterfly or some crazy shit like that.
All right, we're going to go over the players really fast. Of course, Pulse being on the Dire side, it's going to be Wagamama playing on Mirana. Pinoy going to be taking up the reins on Queen of Pain. Fishbone playing on that Enigma Mini, playing Rubik, and finally Region for Pulse going to be playing on the Darkseer. Then for Fnatic, we're going to have Era playing on CK, No Tail playing on Chen, Trixie going to be playing on that Anti-Mage, Fly on Jakiro, and that leaves, of course, Hani, aka JK, playing on that Undying. And the way the lanes are shaping up so far, we already see that Hani's making his way towards top lane. You still expecting this to be an off-lane Undying?
I am, yeah. Like I said, I've seen them do it before, on the same player as well, so I'm expecting him to be top.
All right, so Wagamama obviously taking up the carry role. This is something that he actually talked to us about earlier in the cast, as he said he's made the transition back to carry, so he doesn't do middle or off lane or anything like that anymore. He's back to full-time carry, which means that Pinoy is going to be going middle on that Queen of Pain, likely going to be up against what could potentially be a dual lane. If they send the AM and the Jakiro mid and leave their CK long, depending on what Pulse sends down here, it could work out fairly well for them. Or they could just put the Jakiro and the AM down here and leave the CK to mid.
I believe it's Anti-Mage solo bottom actually against the Darkseer. That's something we did in old Mouse Boys as well. We just leave the Anti-Mage against a solo Darkseer and he does very well.
That Pulse trying to exude their dominance here in the woods, looking to try to pick somebody off, but of course they were spotted out at daytime, so I don't think anybody's going to get caught out.
They're probably just blocking the spawns to be annoying for the Chen.
Yeah, blocking this big camp right here, it's going to make it relatively hard to get anything done.
They just block the small camp so you can't pull it into middle.
Yep, no pulling going to be done here this game, so it means their middle is going to be breathing a sigh of relief, and Queen of Pain is a hero who desperately needs her levels, so I like the fact they decided to do that now. And you can't really counter ward that spot either unless you have a Crow. We saw Venomancer actually couldn't even get to that ward because he was only level 1, didn't have his Plague wards up, so that is actually very hard to counter, and they're also going to drop a very unconventional ward spot here as well towards the bottom rune spot that's going to also block the big camp.
As I thought, off lane, Undying, solo Anti-Mage bottom is a matchup we used a lot in all teams we played with Trixie.
And Region's going to be pulling some creeps himself. And in this matchup, honestly, I got to say that Anti-Mage, if he gets one level of mana break, you can just walk up basically and just drain the Darkseer to the point where he can't even use Shell. I don't know if he can necessarily trade in that position unless he has a lot of regeneration, so we'll see how this line works out.
He's got pulled, so he can trade, for sure. He's got one set of extra tangos. Quilling Blade just to last it under the tower as well. They expected these lanes, they know what they're doing here.
Alright, so Fnatic getting a little bit of an edge, and also Era's going to be farming as well, so like you were saying, I got to give a slight edge here to Fnatic just because of the fact that both Era and Trixie are going to essentially be free farming, and all they're doing is sacking and Undying, who in all honesty doesn't really need a whole lot of gold in the first place to be that effective, and the lane that he's going up against, it's a Mirana and a Rubik, which doesn't have necessarily the greatest kill potential, so even Hani is not going to be feeling too much pressure up here, even solo.
And they messed up. Top lane is pushing in. Hani's gonna get a lot of XP for this. Maybe even level 3, 3.5 or something. This is not supposed to happen.
Well, Pulse, of course, not off to a good start, but let's not forget that they do have very strong mid-game. Going to see an Ice Path here on middle lane on a Pinoy, just harassment purposes right now. But you still have to worry a little bit. Once Fly and Era get a handful of levels, the kind of burst damage they can do, a decently rolled Chaos Bolt can take out Pinoy. He doesn't have the greatest amount of HP at the moment.
Only with high rolls. Plus they need to harass him a little bit. Maybe shave off 100 or 150 HP. If Queen is full HP, it won't be enough.
See how things go for him in the middle lane, and Pinoy has actually opted to go for the Blink and Screen build rather than getting Shadow Strike. I don't think that matters too much. I don't think he wants to go in and try to trade or anything like that. Bottom lane though, Trixie blinking in aggressively versus Region, trying to burn as much mana as he can. You can already see he's completely out of regeneration in terms of mana at this point. He's going to be forced to buy a Soul Ring, but since he didn't start with a recipe, he's going to be waiting quite a long time considering this chicken is sitting middle lane behind the tower.
Yes, Trixie doing a very good job here. He's leading in CS, slightly only. Now Fnatic are winning 2 lanes, getting a 3rd one as well. Maybe not winning, but he's getting more XP than he should have. He's level 2 now, just hitting level 3. Because when you're at this point of the game, and you have 3 people on one side of the map, that guy alone there should be level 1 for a long time.
Yeah, there was a game earlier I saw, and the Darkseer was level 1 at like 8 minutes into the game. It was
Exactly.
just absolutely a terror to lane against whatever he was up. And it wasn't even the greatest tri lane in the world. It's just you really got to know how to control your lane. You got to know how to zone the hero. It only takes one. It's not like an Undying can trade with you in that situation. Even though he does have a stout, he's going to be forced back. He doesn't feel confident enough to sit in that lane. Going to see a Reality Rift in middle lane. Pinoy immediately blinks though. Out of vision, nice blink. Not going to see any follow-up coming out of Fly or Era. Just making sure they keep applying pressure and keep Pinoy as far back as they can. And bottom lane as well, Trixie continues his farm. Pop up on the CS tab. We can see that CK and the AM are both pretty much at the top of the game right now, sitting at 16 and 15 respectively. It's only about 3 minutes in, so both of them getting a tremendous amount of farm, and I don't really see a huge answer for it at this point. Mirana's getting some farm, but farming against 2 relatively hard carries, and AM being a very hard carry, of course, it seems like this is pretty much a losing game for Pulse right now, and they got to rely on their mid-game presence to get it back.
On top of that, Enigma is not getting the best farm he can get. Usually Enigma is the fastest farmer in the entire game in a jungle. Right now, he really isn't. Plus he's pulling for some reason.
Yeah, he's pulling, I guess, just to try to deny all the experience that he can. And Hani, by the way, drops a tombstone up on the high ground here in top lane to try to seal whatever he can. Looks like he might have gotten a handful of creeps for it. He uses a decay as well, just to ensure that he's getting everything possible here. And he's sitting at 13 CS as an off-lane Undying versus a tri-lane.
Exactly, that's what I've been saying. Like, he shouldn't get this much. He's getting way too much.
Now, if you're Pulse right now, do you just say, you know what, our laning phase might not go well, we'll try to group up in the mid game and take fights, or does this laning phase hurt them so much that it might be a little difficult to get anything done?
It's not too difficult. It never is, unless you feed, and no one is feeding right now. They can easily pull back with some really good Darkseer combos with Queen of Penalties, maybe even a Black Hole on top of that.
We'll see how things work out. Pinoy managed to get himself a double damage, but he still doesn't even have his bottle. He's actually opted to get boots first, just to ensure that he can get himself out of bad situations. We saw already that he actually sentryed the high ground in middle lane a little while ago, just to ensure that there was going to be no random reality rifts when he thought he was safe. So nice awareness knowing that they had vision up there. And I mean, he's trying to get whatever he can, but ultimately he's sitting right now at only 6 CS as a solo mid Queen of Pain, and he's level 4 comparative to Era and Jakiro, who are both level 4 themselves. Or excuse me, level 3 on the Jakiro. And Hani walking around here in the woods, got level 3 tombstone. He's level 5. He's going to be level 6 probably within the next few minutes. That means that he's going to have an extra rank into either Decay or Soar. We're going to see a telekinesis, gets thrown back. Arrow is going to follow, but a little bit off the mark. And Hani is going to be just fine and be able to walk back to his tower. And at this point in the game, just golden experience-wise, I mean, Fnatic's ahead, but they're actually not that far ahead in terms of golden. The experience is still going the way of Pulse.
It's the Enigma keeping up. For whatever reason, Chen is not farming as much as he would or could. Maybe it's the block of the small camp from earlier.
Well, not being able to pull definitely hurts them a bit, but the ward is now down, so Jakiro has made his way towards jungle, going to start stacking that small camp. They're actually killing it quite quickly just because it's already been fully denied, but it looks like finally Pulse is deciding to take some kind of an advantage here and push towards the tier 1 top. The tombstone was dropped, actually gets Soruped as well, but it's just not going to be enough to stop this. And with an Enigma already at level 5, that means level 3 conversions. I would say in the next few minutes they want to really try to get this tower, especially with Queen of Pain picking up a haste rune. Hani has no mana right now, could see a potential dive. Level 4, he doesn't have Shadow Strike though. Hani seems to be a little bit keen to it though, even with no vision and no Shadow Strike on the Queen of Pain means it's going to be really hard to catch him out.
They had vision. There's a ward middle, and he probably.
Oh, they just placed it though.
Yeah.
He didn't see it though when he first came out.
And they saw him not walk down, so you know he must have walked up.
More pressure being applied to this top lane. Saw Pinoy manage to dodge a Chaos Bolt middle with his blink. And even with Tombstone at his disposal, Hani is having a very hard time stopping this push. He actually got his ult at 6, by the way. A lot of Undyings nowadays kind of just skip over it, favor one more rank into Decay or Soul Rift depending. We're going to see a TP mid. Looks like it's going to be Darks here, trying to defend their tier 1. 4-second Chaos Bolt. Reality Rift could see the first blood here. Comes the follow-up Ice Path. Dual Breath first actually in the Ice Path after Test of Faith. And it looks like Fly is going to get the first blood. Meanwhile, top, it looks like Hani dies as well as soon as the tower drops. So maybe going for a deny attempt, trading 1 for 1. But Fnatic gets the first blood.
I'm not sure what the Darkseid was thinking there. I mean, he must have known there were like 3 heroes. They've been hitting the tower. And he just walks into them. Maybe miscommunication or just misclick or anything.
Maybe he thought that it wouldn't be a 4-second Chaos Bolt with a very high damage roll. I mean, he is relatively tanky. It's just maybe a little bit too aggressive. Maybe he thought his team was going to be able to back him up. But in reality, Pinoy is only level 5, and he's managed to actually Sentry another high ground ward here. They've actually placed 2 in the same spot back to back. A little bit strange that Fnatic opted to go that route instead of just putting a little bit farther south. But either way, 1-1 right now, only 7 minutes and 30 seconds into this game. And looking at the overall farm, again, no real surprise that Trixie still leads with 42 CS. And then we're going to have Mirana sitting at 36 with that Enigma, of course. Those are jungle creeps, so it's not really the same amount of gold. And CK sitting at 37.
Yes. This dual lane still going very well middle. This queen has been denied of like almost everything. He's got boots, not even a bottle, 8 minutes in.
Yeah, poor Queen of Pain sitting at just 12 CS at this point as a mid hero. Going to see a double damage bottled up here on Era.
Smoke coming in. Upper side jungle.
Yeah, Mini and Fishbone both here making their way towards middle lane. Of course, Fishbone is level 6, has Black Hole. Going to see an Ice Path. Pino actually walks into it. There's the Telekinesis, though, onto Era and Spell Steal as well. What did he get? Looks like it was Chaos Bolt. Ends up throwing it into Era, but it's only 2 seconds. He's going to try to make his way back. Nice Soul Rip coming out from Hani. He's made his way to the fight, and we're going to see Queen of Pain actually drop with the Tombstone being placed as well. Mirana ultimate was used, but it's just ultimately not enough to get him away.
That was a Sentry as well, so they were ready for the...
Oh, he stole Reality Rift, actually. He didn't steal Chaos Bolt. Going to see Mini actually abandoning this middle tower. Double damage popped on Era. And the first tower drops in favor of Fnatic. Well, at least their first tower. Already saw 1 tower drop in favor of Pulse in the top lane.
Darkseid is having such a hard time bottom. 9 minutes in, he only has a Soul Ring. This is usually the point where he picks up like a Vanguard or something with the Soul Ring.
It's really worrisome too, because you look at the kind of team that Pulse has right now, and they have to commit a lot to stopping Trixie from farming in this bottom lane, and I just don't know if they can do that, because if they do, then they're giving space for the CK, so it's basically you try to hold one down with 2 or 3 heroes, and you're guaranteeing that the other one's going to get farmed. We'll see things how work out as the game rolls on here, but level 6 in the Queen of Pain now, so she has her ultimate. She actually decided to skill it because she doesn't have to worry about the extra mana of having Shadow Strike. So she's got the mana pool for it. Going to see a Spell Steal. This time it will be Chaos Bolt, and that is level 4. Very good spell to have in your arsenal. Actually, in my opinion, one of the best that you can actually steal from Fnatic at the moment.
Well, Ice Path is the best, but yeah, it's really good still.
And Wagamama has actually been farming away top lane. We haven't talked a lot about him, but he's sitting at 46 and 11, so he's definitely keeping up in his farm. He's made phase, but he has the Aquila finished. If you know you're going to be against a hero late game like Animage, who's going to innately tank up and is very hard to take down, what kind of build do you think he's going to be going here?
I'd say he would go for like the standard Manta into MKB, maybe even a Diffusal Blade, somewhere in between that. I gotta say though, this is a free farming column. Again, 3 versus 1 pretty much. You have Enigma in the jungle. The CS is 48. At 10 minutes, you can get 82 CS. This is, quite low. You could have a lot more. Not sure why he missed so much CS. Maybe the push messed a lot of stuff up.
Now, speaking of push, Fnatic in the bottom lane looking to try to push into tier 1 themselves. They got No Tail here on the Chen. He's level 8. He has Hand of God here in 5 seconds. 4, actually going to soon be 5 members of Fnatic have the Wildkin Tornado, which is insanely annoying to push into in itself. Aaron now level 7 has that max rank of Chaos Bolt, but it looks like Pulse wants to try to defend. Many does still have that Invis, actually pops out of it to throw out a Fade Bolt and try to do some counter pushing. But at the moment, 5 heroes here. You really kind of have to go to the tower at this point if you're going to commit this many heroes to it at 10 minutes.
They have to, and Pulse is making the right decision by split pushing middle. They're going to take the tower for sure.
Alright, so trading tower for tower. Middle, of course, for Pulse is already down. Blink in. Reality Rift going to land as well. Chaos Bolt, 4 seconds on a Trixie. First one to drop is actually going to be Rubik. Dies incredibly fast, so giving away a kill and still going to lose their tower in the process. The Tombstone dropping on the tower to stop the creep advance, and the tower kill goes to Hani, who, by the way, is now level 8 as an offlane Undying at just 10 minutes into the game, and it doesn't look like Pulse wants to stop their push mid either.
They're losing 2 towers for that if they don't, so they have to go back, and they do go back.
That teleports back to the base. Trixie's going to make his way to the top lane. Well, it looks like at the moment, Era is going to be the one in charge of relieving middle. And the rest of Pulse just decides to fall back. But I mean, that wasn't something for nothing. Mini probably didn't have to die right there. But at the very least, they didn't just lose a tower for no reason.
Yes, it's just a weird misplay that he died there. He should have known that he shouldn't stay there. They have a CK, you can pull him in for like 700 or 800 range or whatever it is.
And I also wanted to point out, too, that Fishbone at this point has rushed a Blink Dagger. He's not gone for anything like a quick mech. Maybe he's hoping that Darkseer is going to get it, and I believe that he will because he's making a headdress as we speak. So leaving Fishbone open to go for the quick Blink Dagger, it does leave him relatively susceptible to getting bursted down. If he doesn't get an amazing black hole, I feel like he might just die while he's channeling the black hole. And speaking of dying, Region here in bottom lane, trying to get away. That's level 2 Surge, going to wear off in just a second. He's going to get cut off, though, by Trixie. He's going to walk right in. He does have a soaring off cooldown and a wand charge. Chicken's actually in the fight, too, but I don't think Region has the time to worry about it. Sorup's going to go off a couple more auto attacks. Mana Void, one more Surge is out, but there's just no way he's getting away. And Hani with the Decay manages to pick up the kill.
They committed 5 heroes for that. Oh, there's a smoke going on, actually.
That wasn't too bad of timing, I guess, overall. Looks like they want to try to go into middle, look to pick off Pinoy if they can. And Queen of Pain still only 700 HP, picks up a Staff of Wizardry, interestingly enough, rather than anything else. Are we thinking Dagon for this Queen of Pain?
No, he's just probably getting 4 staff, I hope.
I don't know, man. It's been a while since I've seen the Staff of Wizardry and a Queen of Pain this early, and typically if you're going for an Ags, you make the point booster first. So I don't know if he's just that money-starved or if he's just crazy, but we'll find out here. 4-1, 13 minutes in, and it looks like Fnatic is going to be pushing down this middle into the Tier 2 of Pulse, and we'll see if they want to try to put up some kind of a defense. I would imagine with the Blink Enigma, they're going to want to try to stop this.
They have to. If they lose this tower, they lose a lot of map control, mainly the area around Roshan.
Yep, of course, only the Tier 2 still standing bottom lane, which means the TP reaction is still okay, but it's not really as fast as it could be. And when your lanes get pushed in like that, like Singh said, you just give away an opportunity to get into the Roche pit for free, get a better position than the enemy team, and then it becomes very, very hard to try to get in around that, especially when you're talking about heroes like Jakiro. On dying, you drop a tombstone in a good spot. You have zombies everywhere. The only thing they can really do to stop it is get a really good black hole in a situation like that.
Good vacuum with Queen spells. That's the main combo right now. Like, the black hole, it's optional at this point. They can't rely on this black hole. It is so risky to do that. So all they need is just a good combo with vacuum plus Queen spells. You drop 2 heroes like that, just like that.
And you know, as good as we're saying that this Anti-Mage has been doing, he still actually doesn't have his Battle Fury. He's opted to finish his treads first. I mean, he's going to have his Battle Fury very shortly. He's already got the Claymore and the Perseverance picked up, so it's not like it's too far off. But typically, when you know that you're going to be free farming in situations like that, you kind of just want to get the Battle Fury and maybe Naked Boots or no boots at all, because there's been no pressure applied to him at this point in the game, and I figure it would be a little bit more efficient just to get it straight away.
Maybe expected to fight earlier. Like, they wanted to push mid, maybe they were pinging on top as well. I guess he just expected to fight. So he just got that power trash, it makes him so much stronger.
Well, fighting obviously something Fnatic wants to do themselves. They smoke up middle. Looks like No Tail and Fly just kind of sitting here. Hani is here as well. Have Rubik here in mid. Mini going to be falling back just in time. Era's actually charging him across over. He is slightly faster. In reality, Rift is very long range.
Oh, wow.
Just ultimately doesn't matter. And no one has actually popped out of smoke just yet. Miranda Walton's going to come down. The sentry immediately placed. They're going to be able to spot Mini. He comes in, but unfortunately, Era didn't back up in time. Maybe he just figured that Mini was going to fall back instead, but I feel like they could have got a kill there.
I think they expected more people to be there since he used the polymulti and he just rushed into them alone.
Yeah, definitely precautionary measures being taken here by Fnatic. Drum now finished, by the way, on the CK. He's getting close to level 9. Pinoy actually does make a Dagon. I really was kind of doubting myself when I talked about it. I was like, man, am I really thinking that he's going to make a Dagon? But he did. So he's going for a complete burst-oriented build. He has yet to put any points into Shadow Strike. He's looking to pick somebody off, possibly the Chen, possibly the Undying before he gets too many decays off during a team fight. I mean, honestly, though, the later the game goes, that build just falls off so hard.
Not just later in the game, it doesn't even do much now. I mean, who's he going to take on? The Chen?
I mean, I feel that's pretty much one of his only targets. He might be able to take down Hani. He's got 900 HP. With an ultimate, Scream, Dagon, and one other nuke from the team, you mean you have Starfall, Vacuum, Fade Bolt. They could potentially focus somebody down before they can do anything.
I still don't think it's worth it. It's 3k gold for a 400 damage burst that might or might not work.
Well, see how things are going to work out. Mech now finished too. on this Chen. He's got his level 1 heal up, looking to try to make something happen during team fights, I'm sure. And, you know, as good as Fnatic has actually been doing, yeah, going to see Trixie actually blink out as Pinoy was continuing to pursue. Didn't really pop anything major, didn't go for the ultimate, didn't go for the Dagon. Just a little bit too much magic resist on Trixie at the moment. He's got level 2 spell shield, so 34% damage reduction. And No Tail and Hani looking to continue to push top and force some kind of a reaction, but I have a feeling we're just going to see another tower trade here.
Most likely. In Pulse, it's hard for them to fight.
Pulse actually should be able to get this tower a little bit faster because the glyph was already popped. Now if you're Pulse, you want to try to TP to this. We already see one going back. It looks like it's going to be Fishbone on an Enigma, and it looks like Mini's going to be teleporting to the front tower. And since they got the tower down faster, and this top tier tower has actually only taken 29 points of damage the entire game, they're not going to be able to push into it just yet because there's too many members of Pulse here. Bellafuri
finally finished an anti-mage. He's got it in his stash though, so he still needs to bring it to him. I'd say a little bit late. I expected it to be there at 15 minutes. That's 17. Still high CS. Polum caught up a lot. He's at 104 now. As I thought, he was just going for the standard Manta build, most likely into MKB.
Yeah, at the moment, though, you got to have to take into consideration once the AM gets his Battle Fury, the farm becomes exponentially higher. Heroes like Mirana aren't really going to be able to keep up with him. There's just simply no way, especially since he is going for the standard Manta build like he said he probably would. And at this point, it starts to get basically on a clock. If you don't stop the AM in a certain amount of time, then there's really not going to be a whole lot of methods I feel Pulse is going to have outside of just amazing teamfight coordination to stop him in the late game.
Pretty much. This game is going everything in Fnatic's favor right now.
All middle lane. Looks like we're going to see Mirana ultimate popped. Mini steals another Reality Rift, and Era's going to go ahead and back off. Saw Chaos Bolt go down, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough to get the kill. But there's a sentry on the low ground. Can he get the Reality Rift? He does, but he actually goes down in the middle. We're going to see a Queen of Pain ultimate go off on the backside, but looks like Mini is already dead. There's the Hand of God. Era's going to be in a bit of trouble. Stuck in a Midnight Pulse and next to an Ion Shell, but he wants to go for Fishbone anyway. Still has a Black Hole, but dies before he can use it. Runs right into an Ice Path. 2-second Chaos Bolt on the region. A Darkseer is going to drop as well, and Pulse losing 3, getting absolutely nothing out of it. Fnatic is doing an excellent job of just having sentries everywhere, totally countering this Mirana ultimate, and Pulse just feels when it's popped, they can just do anything they want, and they just keep getting picked off because of it.
That's the worst part, because they expect it to be invisible there.
Well, Tier 2 now under siege by Fnatic. Not really sure if we're going to see too much of a defense. Of course, Fishbone didn't use his Black Hole, and he's going to be up in about 10 seconds, so we could be seeing some kind of TP reaction. In the meantime, top, Wagamama counter-pushing on his own, but Trixie's here to stop him.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Tower mid still taking quite a bit of damage. Mini going to go in for a spell steal. Manages to get Chaos Bolt this time. Going to see TP coming in as well from Darkseer. Are they going to go Telekinesis and a 2-second Chaos Bolt? Overlapped a bit. Not sure if it's going to matter. Nice stomp though on a region while he was stuck inside of the Ice Path. Good vacuum hits 2 and the Black Hole follow-up. Did they have any interrupts at all? The Ice Path is a cooldown for 1 more second. Air looks like he's going to drop. Region is getting quite low as well. Dagon coming out from the Queen of Pain to get the kill. Now Hani in a lot of trouble himself. Decay comes up. He's so tanky, but eventually does drop to the entirety of Pulse. But these zombies are so powerful. The Tombstone finally does die, and Darkseer makes it out with basically no HP. No Tail on the backside of the fight, unable to send anyone home. And once again, I mean, Pulse, even though they've been behind, that was the first semblance of a good team fight they've had.
That was a nice combination of vacuum plus Black Hole. That's what they need. Just do that like 5 more times. Maybe have an anti-mage in there too. They just might take this game. Right now, this game is still very much in Fnatic's favor. Anti-mage is just building up his Manta. It's halfway to the Manta now. If he gets that, it's going to be very easy fights for Fnatic.
We'll see how the game continues to roll out. Like you said, Black Hole, Vacuum, very powerful combination. But we also have to take into consideration that Jakiro's Ice Path was on cooldown when that happened because he used it to hit region at the beginning of the fight. So they had no ranged interrupts when that Black Hole actually went down. We don't know if that's going to happen every single fight.
Hopefully it won't for Fnatic's case.
And speaking of Fnatic, they've managed to maintain a pretty good lead throughout the entire game so far, but an Experience in Gold is still relatively close. They don't have a lead at this point. They're actually behind in overall Experience in Gold. Gonna hear an Ice Path go off into the pit, but of course that was just scouting for Roshan. Not gonna find anything, but I'm really impressed at the fact that Pulse hasn't managed to fall that far behind given the circumstances.
Well, they're playing as an anti-mage, so if the gold is even, anti-mage is stronger with the same items.
Yeah, I suppose that's definitely a good point. And you also have a CK at your disposal, who, by the way, is working his way towards the BKB. Has those treads finished, has a haster and inside of a bottle. And Fly just dropping sentries all over the map this entire game, doing an excellent job of ensuring that no matter where the Mirana is on the map, if they want to try to initiate, it's just not going to do anything further. And honestly, it felt like most of the ultimates have just backfired for Pulse.
There's a big smoke gun coming towards top lane.
Yeah, they're looping around. Region and Fishbone sitting in the back might be the recipients of this, actually. I don't even know if Fnatic knows these two individually are sitting where they are at the moment, but Wagamama is leading the charge right now. He has level 2 ultimate. He's going to get caught out. Where's the Chaos Bolt? Actually doesn't land. Disjoints it with his leap, and now he's going to be in a little bit of trouble, though. Pops the ultimate. Going to see a Sentry drop as well. Rift actually not going to hit him. There we go. Finally lines it up. Even uses his Phantasm just to ensure the kill. Not sure if that was necessary or not, but again, that was Fnatic committing a lot, actually 4 heroes to killing Waga, but in the meantime, of course, they have their Anti-Mage farming on the opposite side of the map.
Even 2 sentries.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I knew they dropped 1. I didn't think actually. Yep, that's 2 sentries and a tombstone.
Yeah, that's why the first reality rift got cancelled. He lost vision.
Oh, Wagamama gets picked. He's being relied pretty heavily upon to carry this game if you're in Pulse's position. He's got his Manta finish, he's got his phase boots, but Manta alone doesn't really give you a lot of damage. You're relying pretty heavily on the fact that you can land arrows, that you can get in the middle of a team fight, use your Starfall, and of course abuse the fact that you have good mobility. That's what makes Mirana a carry in of itself. It's not so much her damage potential in the mid-game as much as it is her mobility later on.
The Manta is more for split pushing. It makes her very elusive. Like you said, there was 4 people hunting her there, and she, you know, a little bit. If she were a little bit further away, she would have actually escaped there.
Yeah, I think if he actually had leaped straight back into leaping into the woods, he might have just been perfectly fine.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe he was expecting to get cut off by 1 more hero. In the meantime, many going to be spotting out Trixie farming here at the medium camp. They are going to get the telekinesis off. Do they have the follow-up damage? The air was actually off the mark. Misread the telekinesis, and Trixie is going to be able to get away because of that. Unfortunate. I think they might have been able to kill him with a 5-second arrow.
Miscommunication.
Yeah, very unfortunate timing. Middle lane, we're seeing Region being harassed here by the illusions of Trixie being forced all the way back inside of his base. And Minnie's actually going to steal Animage's Blink and also retreat back towards his base. And that is one thing playing against the Animage that Rubik has to his advantage, is stealing Blink, especially level 4 Blink, makes you so much more mobile. You're able to get into fights, steal proper spells like Tombstone if you want, or Ice Path like you were saying earlier, a very high tier spell to get. And it does make him a little bit stronger in this matchup.
It surprised me actually that he hasn't stolen Ice Path yet. It is really by far the best spell to steal in this game.
Well, right now, both teams kind of just farming passively. No one really wants to do a whole lot. I mean, if you're Fnatic, it's okay to sit there and farm because you know that you have an Anti-Mage and a CK to fall back on as the game stretches out. But for Pulse, you have to feel some semblance of urgency here. It's just a matter of, are you really going to rely on a Queen of Pain who went for a Dagon and is now going for an Ags? I mean, it's a purely magic damage build against an Anti-Mage. Is that really the right path that you can just sit back? Maybe they're waiting for one more big item and then they try to fight? Or do you think they're feeling content and farming against Fnatic right now?
I think they're content, as you can see. They don't seem to do anything, they just farm up. Maybe they're just waiting for Enigma's BKB, which is almost up. The only thing that can stop it is Anti-Mage ultimates.
And that pretty much means he only has one target that he has to focus on for sure, and that's going to be the Anti-Mage. But Trixie hasn't been in many team fights. He's sitting right now, he's 1-0-1, so he's been involved in 2 kills. This has been a pretty slow-paced game in that regard. There hasn't been too many kills the way of either team at this point, but if he's not there, it's going to be pretty easy, like you said, to be able to line those up. And since he already has a Blink Dagger, their initiation potential is quite good. They have Leap, and they have a Queen of Pain Blink as well. So getting into a team fight for Pulse is absolutely no problem. It's just making sure you can get in, get the high priority targets down, and not lose everyone in the process.
Or who do you focus in Fnatic? They all have these heroes that are just so annoying if kept alive. They're not a hero that just lands all their spells and then walks away.
Whenever I see a team with Undying, I always figured you want to focus him first because Decay at level 4 is such a low cooldown. It gives him so much durability in a team fight, and it also makes it impossible to target things like Tombstone because you give them the opportunity to get Soul Ripped and get it healed back up. So, I mean, I agree with you, though. Getting anybody down from Fnatic is going to be a challenge considering the fact they have double heal, essentially, with the Undying. You can have Soul Rip, you can have Mech, you can have Hand of God. Anyone they focus might just get healed back up immediately.
Monta now finished an Anti-Mage. This is pretty much their cue to just finish the game, pretty much.
Oh, we're going to see a Blink in the back, actually. Mini going to throw a fly up to the high ground. The fight has started, but Mini pays with his life. They managed to pick off a Jakiro, but they trade their Rubik for it. And now Region's going to go ahead and teleport back to the base under the guise of Mirana's ultimate. And Fnatic going to continue to push into this bottom tier 2. Can Pulse do anything about this? I don't really know if trading a support for support really even matters for Pulse at this point.
It doesn't matter for either teams. They both do what they want to do right now. Pulse split pushes, drops his tower. Fnatic takes the tower they want to take, most likely going for Roche afterwards.
Well, double damage on Eras, of course, going to help with pushing this tower. Trixie, actually the recipient of the majority of this tower gold, like you said, abusing that Manta middle lane as Waga. He might be able to get this tower in time. Hani teleports, but just in time to see his tier 2 middle fall. And instead of going for Roche, and they decide to go back instead, a little bit of counter warding done on the way back from Waga as he goes towards his base. But now everyone's back on their side of the map. The next fight probably going to be around Roche or maybe the tier 1 top, I would expect.
Most likely tier 1 top. They want to take this tower. It's free gold pretty much.
Go ahead and take a peek at the gold so far, and yeah, it's still really, really even. Both of these teams within still 1,000 golden experience of each other in this entire game. It's been 26 minutes. In terms of leads, I don't think we've seen a game this close probably the entire tournament so far. But again, like you were saying earlier, Anti-Mage has one of those effects where you might feel like you're doing okay, and then randomly he picks up one more item and you simply can't do anything to him. And speaking of top lane, he's going to be defensively blinking away from Pinoy, who decided to use a Dagon on him just because, I guess.
Just because.
Well, Anti-Mage now sitting on level 17, picked up a Vitality booster, likely going to be going to finish up that heart. Waga sitting on top of 2,000 gold himself. Now, when you're in this position, do you go for something like a Crystallis, just go pure damage? Do you go for the MKB? I mean, you got to consider that Waga is the only person on this team, really, who's going to have any physical damage output to stop the Anti-Mage in these team fights. So what do you go for after the math is done?
I would say MKB, because Butterfly is a very common build on Anti-Mage. On top of that, CK might go for a Heaven's Halberd. If they both go for those two items, he needs the MKB ready before they have those items. Otherwise, he's not going to do any damage at all in fights.
And you have to imagine, too, that Trixie and Era are both going to be leading the charge for Fnatic in these team fights. They're both getting so tanky. Even the AM is sitting right now at 1,600 HP, and Era's sitting at 1,700. So the later this game goes, got to worry a little bit for Pulse. They're still out of it by any stretch. They have the opportunity to land the big black hole, turn around a team fight really quick like that, pick up something like Roshan, get themselves an Aegis on Wagamama, and try to push down some more towers at this point. But there's actually only one tower left. Have some pings coming out on the map. Looks like people are kind of huddling around Roshan here, just making sure neither team gets the positioning advantage. And interestingly enough, wards from both teams and like in the exact same spot at almost the exact same time.
Smoke coming up by Pulse, middle lane.
Yeah, Region's actually baiting it out here. It looks like he's the only one who isn't inside of the smoke. Going to walk past the river, maybe look to get initiated on, just the rest of his team can follow it up. We are talking about a Mirana ultimate right now. There's actually no sentries at the moment on Fly. He's going to spot out Region, though. Nice Ice Path. Are they going to be able to get him in? There's a Chaos Bolt. It's only 2 seconds. Gets pulled in immediately. And a nice Black Hole. Manages to tooth vacuums there as well. The Queen of Pain combo. The wall goes down. Tombstone's also dropped. There's already one hero dead, but immediate buyback. Fly's already back in the game. Fishbone trying to do what he can with the BKB pop, but it just doesn't matter at this point. Trixie actually getting forced back. The Midnight Pulse damage a little bit too much for him. Pulse on full retreat right now, but the zombies are just chasing so much. Mini probably going to drop as well. Nice Ice Path on the backside to cut him off, and Hani picking up a triple kill. So while they had decent focus fire in that fight, the Black Hole was nice. It actually channeled for quite a bit. The follow-up from the Queen of Pain was there. The heroes, again, just too tanky. Fly bought back as soon as he died. Era didn't even have to. Was pretty much as good of a team fight as you could have asked for Pulse. It just, they couldn't get enough damage out.
They should have backed off right after they killed one of them, or two of them. But they chased when they had all the spells on cooldown.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Black Hole was there, the Vacuum was there, the Queen of Pain ultimate and the Scream, but picking off heroes at this point when they have buyback is just, it's kind of reminiscent of some of the matches we saw earlier, especially with the mouse game. You pick people off, but they just have too much money at this point in the game. And now we're going to see Trixie just farming in his opponent's jungle. He's sitting right now on top of 2,300 gold after that team fight. He didn't actually get dropped. Pinoy did a pretty good job of forcing him out, but at the very end, unfortunately, Pulse just unable to really seal the deal. So looking to probably see this tier 1 push in the next couple of minutes if you're Fnatic. And the longer the game goes, the more Pulse is going to worry.
I'm surprised they didn't just backdoor the tower when they had like 3 people dead and Fnatic had everyone alive.
Yeah, no backdoor protection, of course, on tier 1s. Fly and Era both sitting in this middle lane. And that's like the 3rd time I would definitely imagine that being invisible has kind of backfired for Pulse. They had pretty decent coordination there, probably the best we've seen this entire game. It just ultimately doesn't matter a whole lot. Pipe now finished also on the Undying, sitting at level 14. BKB going to be popped by Era. That's definitely a misclick, and he bottles up a double damage in the meantime, and that's pretty important too, because that's a 10-second BKB, I believe, that he just wasted.
And they want Roche, and you know, Pulse, they want this Roche as well.
And Black Hole going to be on cooldown though for this. Even with the BKB, see an Ice Path going off. Fnatic has started to attempt the Roche, but Mini's going to get caught out a little bit. He actually tried a Reality Rift, but he hits an Illusion instead of Mirana, but Mini is getting disintegrated by the Manta AM, pops up the Mana Void just for safe measure, manages to take out Mini straight away. And was that a Tombstone from Rubik actually that he dropped? Yeah, he stole the Tombstone, put it on the high ground. I was like, wait a minute, there's 2 Tombstones here. Roshan taking quite a bit of damage, another DD up on Era. They're going to be able to get this Roche no problem. Are they going to give it to Trixie? Are they going to give it to Era? Looks like Era's going to be the choice. Trixie, of course, very close to his heart. Only a couple hundred away. No real reason to give it to him. I don't even know if they can kill him in a team fight anymore once the heart's finished.
I doubt it. Even if they just go on him with 5 heroes, he's just going to blink out after the black hole or whatever.
Well, we'll see what Pulse has to answer. I mean, the one thing we haven't talked about too much is how hard is it going to be for Fnatic to go up into the ramp of Pulse, because there's so much AoE coming out, Vacuum, Black Hole, Queen of Pain, Starfall, Rubik. I mean, there's a lot of close quarter spells that are really, really good when you're defending your base, and that's something that Pulse definitely has, I think, over Fnatic at this point.
Both carries using the mantas to do stuff.
Yeah, it's a little bit of back and forth between the two, or getting most farm basically on either team. But the net worth, you can already see, is scaling pretty heavily in favor of this AM. He's sitting at 5,000 gold ahead of the Queen of Pain or the Mirana at this point, and that's just because the Battle Fury has propelled him into that spot. His heart's done. He just picked up the recipe on the courier, going to be transferring it to himself here in just a couple of minutes. But Rubik has actually been doing a pretty good job this game, considering the fact that he's not really that mobile. It's very reminiscent of Kuro's Rubik earlier. He doesn't have a Force Staff or anything like that. In my opinion, if you're in his shoes, you want to kind of steal Blink just for the mobility. The fact that you can get Reality Rifted in and just instantly die is not something that he wants. He wants to stick on the outside of team fights as much as he can.
Definitely. Blink is a very good choice here. I mean, you've seen it. Like, they just jump on him and he just dies instantly. Every single fight so far.
And Otail picking up a haste. Has a gem, by the way. Haven't talked about that. The ability to just completely remove all your opponent's map vision. The only ward down for Pulse right now is actually about to fade. It's got about a minute left. It's going to be up on the high ground on Fnatic's Ancients. And as soon as that's down, oh, never mind. Mini decides to place another one, scouting out the tier 2 in the bottom lane. So a new fresh ward. But all this stuff is going to get countered. I mean, it's a pretty decent ward placement if the Chen doesn't casually walk by here. But all in all, when you lose map control like this and you're aggressively warding at this point in the game, it puts you at a bit of a disadvantage when you're defending.
There's 5 heroes guarded for Pulse bottom. They really want this tower. They know they can't take the fight at tier 1s.
Yeah, they're going to do whatever they can to try to make something happen. Arrow going to be off the mark, unfortunately. Trixie sitting behind the tower, but there are a lot of conversions here. Looks like they're going to TP right into it. Anyway, Arrow does have that Aegis after all. Who are they going to go for? Looks like it's going to be Regen. Gets pulled back. 4-second Chaos Bolt. Manta is popped. Ice Path to follow. Tombstone's going to be dropped as well. Mirana ultimate immediately used, and everyone from Pulse is just on full retreat. Once again, Trixie running in. He wants to try to catch somebody. The Mirana ult is going to be off. Is Mini going to be able to TP out here in time? Looks like they didn't actually see him. Aggressive blink forward by Trixie. Still chasing down Wagga, but I think with the Manta and Leap, he might be a bit too fast. But Trixie is just not done here. The blink is still going to be a shorter cooldown than Leap, but I just don't know if it's going to be too fortuitous to keep chasing.
Yeah, it's Trixie. He's just crazy. He doesn't care.
Well, just chasing all the way across the map because that's just what you do on an Animage. And
yeah.
Chaos Knight.
Yeah, sometimes into the base, other times over the entire map. That's Trixie.
Wagamam at this point now sitting at level 16 as well. He did go for crystals, by the way, so he's going for the crit route. And I mean, in terms of overall damage output, it is definitely a little bit higher than an MKB, but I agree with the fact that if there is a butterfly out in the field or anything like that, actually hold on. Fishbone getting caught on the woods here. Actually gets Centaur stomped with the Manta and gets disintegrated by a Mana Void coming out of Trixie, and he gets all the conversions as well. That is just gold that he didn't need at this point.
This could just be a middle Rex if they decide to push Fnatic at this.
Yeah, I don't think Trixie is really afraid of anything at this point out of Pulse. Even if he does get Black Cold and everything lands in succession, do they have the damage to burn through 15 armor and 2,600 health and soon to probably be a butterfly? I have my doubts. At tier 3, now under siege. Liquid Fire, of course, helping with that. It's only level 2, by the way. Oh, Reality Rift onto Mini. Going to see a 3-second Chaos Bolt. Trixie blinking in, and there's just no chance he's getting away from that. Buys back immediately, though. Ice Pass there, of course, not really necessary. Wagga popping his own Manta, putting it right in the Tombstone to try to get it down before any real team fight happens. Also remember that Enigma does have Black Hole when it's up. Is this tower actually going to drop in time? They did already use the Glyph. There's no way they can actually stop this just yet. I'm not sure if Fnatic knows about it or not, but they're going to go ahead and take the safe path and just back up.
Wow.
Or maybe they just wanted a creep wave, one or the other.
They just wanted a creep wave, I'm sure.
Well, now walking up straight into the ramp, this could be the time that Pulse needs. Everyone's going to be grouped up. They got 2 melee carries. If they can catch them both, get the BKB off, there's a good opportunity they could possibly make a kill happen here. Going to hear Surge go off. Regen leading the charge. Scream goes off on air. He does have that Aegis, though. Not popping his BKB just yet. Reality Rift goes in. Sorrow about. Trixie blinks in. Pops the Manta straight away. Gets vacuumed back, though, into a wall. Here comes the Black Hole. Manages it, too. Trixie stuck inside, but as well, here comes Pino. But a nice Ice Path actually stops all the follow-up damage coming out onto Trixie. The ultimate goes off anyway, but he's still standing. Trixie gets another kill. Looks like Darkseer is going to be dropping. Mini getting beaten down by the BKB of Chaos Knight as well. And this is just looking like a disastrous team fight. But Mirana's doing quite a bit of damage from the back. Manages to pick off Era a second time. Another Ice Path is going to land on Wagamama on the high ground. He might be able to take him out. He's completely out of mana at this point. Trixie, of course, uses Mana Void already, so he's not going going to have it to finish off the kill. And honestly, Era died twice right there, and they're unable to actually get the racks. It still took a little bit of damage, but ultimately, they didn't really get a whole lot done right there.
That was the only damage source I actually didn't account for. That was the anti-mage's image of the wall. That did quite a lot of damage there in that fight, along with CK's image as well.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting them to win the fight in that kind of a fashion. The black hole was definitely there. They hit the 2 high priority targets. The ice path was actually brilliant. It stopped Pinoy from getting his ultimate off even faster and just applying the pressure. But it still hit Trixie anyway. He didn't end up dropping for it, but Era dying twice definitely hurts a bit. And that gives Pulse a little bit of breathing room, and I think Fnatic might be more hesitant about pushing up into the base next time.
Oh, Trixie just blinks right past that DD. Silly Trixie.
Yeah, he's got his heart finished now. He doesn't afraid of anything, basically. He's very, very strong. He's almost finished farming at this point, so that means it's probably close to 3 a.m. But once he gets his butterfly up, Wagamama's going to have his Day Dallas relatively soon. I don't know if that's necessarily the best item choice for him. We talked a bit about it earlier. But if you get a couple of crits, you can actually take an AM out, especially when he's stuck in the black hole.
And he's got his Buriza finished in as well. He just needs the recipe.
Double damage now picked up by Trixie, making his way towards middle lane. Get a spot out. Amantha just in time to see it fall. Trixie sitting at level 22. He's got 3,700 gold saved up. It's only 37 minutes in. Haven't been too many kills this game. Pulse, in the meantime, pushing towards that bottom base tower. Everyone is going to go ahead and teleport back to the base after seeing that Fnatic is rushing it down right now. No tower up. No sentries or anything like that here. Going to be a ward up to the high ground. Arrow is actually not going to land on Honey. Almost ran right into it. But double damage still on Trixie for a little while longer. Looks like Mini managed to steal something. Telekinesis onto Arrow. Gets pulled out actually instead of back into the rest of the team. Queen of coming in. Ultimate hits 3. Arrow pops the BKB, but Trixie just absolutely disintegrates. Queen of Pain buys back instantly. Ice Path manages to hit Wagamama in the far back. BKB pop by Arrow. Looks like they're just going for the racks instead. They don't want to actually commit to a team fight right now. The wall's down, and it looks like it's actually enough to chase them back for the time being. One buyback. Darkseer also drops, so Queen of Pain died in the meantime as well. Trixie's inside of the base all by himself, actually getting beaten down. Will he make it out in time? No, he won't. The Dagon, and actually Mini, of all people, picks up the kill with what looks like to be an auto attack, and Fnatic is being chased out. Pinoy still pursuing. Now Era pops his ultimate. Reality Rifts straight at Mini, but he has the blink still, so he gets out. The Reality Rift is wasted. Pinoy still sitting here at the front lines of his team, trying to force them back. Hanagod comes out. Mini blinks in very aggressively. Might be the last thing he's ever done, and he is going to die for it, but Era getting Malefice once again. BKB still on cooldown. Pinoy continuing the chase, tries to Reality Rift Fishbone, but he gets sent back to base. So, looks like there's probably not going to be any more kills unless Pinoy can manage to catch out No-Tail, who, by the way, does have a gem on him. So before he dies, he's probably going to want to think about killing it. He does actually drop it on the ramp just then. Here comes the Malefice. No-Tail, your efforts were valiant, my friend, but I don't believe you're making it home.
Silly Trixie. It's just like Bombos, forgetting which base it is.
Well, at least he sacrificed himself for the greater good, destroyed the gem before he gave it away to Pulse, and he saved CK in the process. So if you're No-Tail right there, I don't think you're too upset. My real question is, how does Pulse keep defending this? Is Wall and Black Hole really just that strong that even with a very, very farmed Animage and a CK that they feel they can't push into it?
It's actually the mistakes of Fnatic. They're going in one by one. As you could see, Trixie went in on his own twice in the same fight, didn't really accomplish anything. On top of that, they didn't focus fire. They just hit like 4 different targets. As you can see, everyone with no mana, half HP or whatever. And it just walked out. And then they regrouped and pushed Fnatic out. Fnatic just went in alone again. Trixie going in and died. So these are not necessarily good plays by Pulse, but these are miscommunications, misplays by Fnatic.
Well, if things keep going that way, we're looking at Mirana continuing to pick up her farm. Daedalus is going to be done for the next team fight. He actually didn't even have it right there. And they show that they do have a decent amount of damage. Even with 2,700 HP, Trixie didn't have enough to get out of the base. I mean, Midnight Pulse is quite good. Late game Mirana right-click damage is respectable, to say the least, especially the build that he's going. And Darkseer Wall can burn his own mana, and the illusion of himself is actually pretty powerful. Might as well be another hero, honestly, if you're Pulse at this point.
Roshan's going to be up in a minute. They did not have the Rosh timer though.
Yeah, he's going to be up in probably less than a minute, actually. They're all kind of hovering towards the pit right now. And Fnatic just wants to make sure they have the better positioning advantage for when it pops. But again, Blink Enigma and a Darkseer. Wall, Vacuum, things like that. Queen of Pain in close quarters. It's still relatively scary to fight against, even if you do have a BKB finished on your CK. He's also working his way towards the heart. So you're looking at 2 insanely tanky physical damage dealers here of Fnatic, comparative to just the 1 real semi-carry so far of Pulse. And Queen of Pain has been doing a pretty decent job. He's picked up his farm quite a bit. He's got a BKB, an Aghanims, a Dagon, and 1,800 gold, and Darkseer now picks up a Hex on top of that.
This allows them to focus down that anti-mage quite easily, actually.
Yeah, once you're in a Hex, of course, you can't evade any attacks, stuff like that. Makes you a lot squishier, especially as an AM, because you built those inherent tanky items. And when you get focused down like that, you're going to have a buyback, but if you buy back and you're pushing inside of Pulse's base, the buyback doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. It's basically just saying, I'm going to go back to farming. But in the meantime, looks like Pulse is going to be going for a Roshan attempt. There is wards here from both teams, so everyone knows about it essentially. It's just going to be down to who gets the better positioning, and at the moment, Pulse is there first. So they get a little bit of an edge in that regard, but they're also being spotted out.
Trixie has the gold for his butterfly now. I don't know if he should buy it though. Buyback at this point is quite important. Another teamfight loss might just be Rex.
Oh, Mirana's going to go ahead and pop the ultimate. Trixie actually blinks into the Roshan pit. It's still quite low. Arrow going to be off the mark. Actually hits Roshan instead. And both teams are going to try to fall back to their side of the map. But Mirana ultimate's going to be down soon, and that's a bit of a waste. Maybe they were just expecting a faster initiation right there out of Fnatic. Oh, and speaking of initiation, going to see a blink in. Hex immediately on a Trixie, though. As soon as he goes for Mini, Mini still has the blink stolen. Regen up on the high ground, trying to do what he can. Gets Ice Path on his way back, and the arrow comes out as well, but it's not going to be enough, unfortunately, to save his teammate. 2 heroes already down as Enigma drops instantaneously, and now Fnatic is going to be going for Roshan. Those heroes died so fast, I didn't even have a chance to say who it was before they died.
More miscommunications by Pulse. Doxy walking alone, hexing prematurely. No one was focusing him. Enigma walking with half HP before the fight started. He was tanking up Roshan at the point. These were just, you know, I would almost say throws by Pulse, but I don't know.
Well, Aegis now picked up on this Animage, 4,100 gold. Arrow's going to hit Arrow, but I don't think they can actually do anything about it. Queen of Pain ultimate is going to go off. Trixie with the aggressive blink. Ice Path going to be off the mark. The melee rack still falls. Phantasm now out from Era as well, and these racks just have absolutely no chance. There's just too much physical damage coming out from this team at this point in time. They're so tanky as well. Era now with his heart finish, 3,100 HP. Trixie sitting at 2,800. Pinoy getting hit by an Ice Path. Here comes Trixie, though, goes in straight away. BKB forced to be popped to stop the mana burn. Telekinesis up as well, but they just can't focus him down. Every single hero is unbelievably tanky coming out from Fnatic, and I don't even know if they can push him out with a black hole anymore.
I doubt it. Not with the Aegis up.
And Trixie blinks back into his team. Vacuum's going to manage to hit No Tail and Hani. Tombstone's down, pops the ultimate. It looks like they want to try to fight into this 2-second Chaos Bolt on a region. Is it going to be enough? Reality Rift the back in. Immediate crit. Are they going to be able to get him in time? Black Hole actually manages it at 2. Hits Hani and Arrow, but Trixie in the back, completely wreaking havoc. Pino with the ultimate manages to do a decent amount of damage as well. But Hani is going to be the only one right now who is dropped from Fnatic. 3 dead. Buyback coming out of Mirana. Pino going to be in some trouble as well. Stuck inside of an Ice Path. Can't stand to Fnatic's team fight right now. Even with the buybacks from the Queen of Pain and the Mirana, they're just barely stemming the tide at this point. Trixie with another aggressive blink going for Pinoy. Is he actually going to be able to get anything done, though? The Mirana ultimate was popped once again. Arrow going to actually hit on Era. Only a 2-second one, though, so it doesn't really matter that much. And that is another Rax down here for Pulse. They are now 2 Raxes down versus Fnatic, who just seem to be rolling right now. And that Darkseer Wall Illusion actually quite strong. Took Trixie a little while to take it, but I just don't know if Pulse is going to have everything in the gas tank to bring it back.
Even during that entire fight, the gold advantage was very minimal. And still, it seemed so easy for Fnatic. They just have better heroes that skill with items.
Yeah, I really like the fact they picked up that late Animage. Just allow them to get such a better late and mid game that there was really nothing that Pulse could do about it. They picked their Queen of Pain, and it's like, well, Queen of Pain, the build that she's going right now, she doesn't have that transition into like an MKB or anything else like that to help them with the Animage. I mean, her burst damage is still relatively good, but the heroes that they really have to worry about are the ones that they can't kill, and that's the CK and the AM.
Even the Undying is quite annoying. I mean, you saw at bottom lane, he took a very long time to get killed. He was just tanking up everything. They threw everything on him as well. Even the Black Hole.
Yeah, he was sitting inside of that team fight for some time. He's actually picked up a Vlad's too, so he's giving his Chaos Knight and his Animage a little bit extra lifesteal at this point in the game. It's 27-11. Take a look at the gold and the experience. You can see the spike up. I mean, the last few minutes, like Singh said, it was pretty close. But after a team fight like that, losing everyone, being forced to buy out, things just are not looking too good at the moment. They still have an opportunity. The Black Hole has been there a couple of times, but we've seen like 2 and 3 hero Black Holes, but we haven't seen the big 4 or 5 just yet. And that's a lot due to the fact that Fnatic has just had good positioning. And the heroes that they blink into team fights with, even if you Black Hole them, it's not going to usually be enough to get a kill because Era and the AM are usually the ones that lead the charge, and they're just too tanky.
Butterfly now completed on Trixie. I don't see them stopping.
Oh no, Fishbone getting caught off in his own woods. Just drops, 3-second Chaos Bolt, Ice Path. It's all they really need at this point. Trixie just beating into the tier 2, even with backdoor protection, it was still dropping. Now, of course, it's down because there's actually a creep wave here. And I feel as though Fnatic might be going for Megas right here.
Nothing Pulse can do, I'd say. I don't know
Well,
if
we'll
they
see. This is going to be their
buy
last
back.
stand. No black hole. Arrow just walking right inside of the base, looking for anybody at this point. Going to see a TP back. It's going to be Wagga. Probably going to throw out an arrow. Queen of Pain ultimate does go off. Just does no damage, though. Nice vacuum. Manages it before. The wall goes down after the fact. A couple of illusions were spawned. Arrow actually fighting his own illusion inside of the wall, where Trixie is blinked back into basically 4 heroes of Pulse right now. Hex is going to come out. There's no follow-up damage just yet. Wagga looks like he's going to be the first one to drop right outside of his base. A long distance decay manages to get the kill, and Trixie's still inside of the opponent's base. And Enigma dies again before he can do much of anything. So 2 already down. Reality Rift onto Mini. Ice Path goes off, and that's going to be a double kill for Trixie. Hits so fast, so unbelievably hard. Nice 5-man vacuum, and the good game, well played, comes out, and Fnatic takes out Pulse.
32-11. It wasn't even that much of an action-packed game. I believe like nothing happened in the first 20 minutes.
Everyone's pretty much content to sit back and farm, and ultimately that played to Fnatic's advantage. They had a CK, they had an A, and we talked about it time and time again during the game. And when you let it go this late, I mean, this CK is pretty much just unkillable. So unfortunate that Pulse lost this game, but of course they still have an opportunity to make their way back. And Fnatic, of course, coming out with a win. That's going to be to their advantage as the group stage goes on.
I believe this almost secures their advance, because the other team is a Biok and Dignitas. I don't think they're going to lose their Biok after such a result.
Yeah, honestly though, I was really impressed with Fnatic's performance this game. They managed to take a pretty convincing win over a team that a lot of people were considering a dark horse. But let's go ahead and hear what everybody else has to say as we have Toby and Gods here.